Hey guys, as you can see, I'm at a soon-to-be lumber yard. So this is called Knotheads. It's a place out in Omaha, Nebraska, and these guys will find any kind of log that you want, any kind of material. And I have reached out to Ron, the owner of it, and asked him to help me find logs because I want a 20-foot header across my entrance, and then I want 3 logs on each side to kind of giving it a unique look. I'll show you a picture of what I'm trying to get at. So I sent that drawing to Ron, and then he went out and looked for logs, and he recommended oak because it will last a long, long time. With that, I'm gonna take you guys along for the ride and show you what Ron does, taking these huge pieces of wood that are circular and make them square, because I'm amazed that some of the logs start almost that big around, so I can get a 20-foot log across the top. So it's pretty fascinating. Hope you guys like it. Let's get going. All right, I'm down here looking for the guys that I purchased these logs from. I'm not sure which one's mine, but I'm making the gate. Well, it's not so much a gate, but the entrance. I want to have these beautiful tall wood, but I'm not making them round. I'm taking a round log, trimming them up, making them square. I wanted to show you guys the process. I'm interested to see how that goes as well. This is a first for me. So I'm waiting for the guys to show up, and we'll show you how they take some of these supersized logs and make them into, I need some 12 footers, 16 footers, 10s, I think a couple 14s, but it's super windy, so I kind of tucked in here to find a break from the wind and show you how we're going to be doing this. Let's see if I can find these guys. Look at the size of this beast. It is, I don't know, it's pretty thick. This is way bigger than what I need. I just don't know how long it is. Wow, it's short. It looks like it's about a 8 to 10 footer. Maybe they cut this things in a bunch of slices and make small tables out of it. There's a As you can see, when they are trimming these logs, they just take thin layers off of the bark just to start trimming it down, because they have a guide on their machine that will tell them when they get to that 12-inch diameter. So I'm going for a square log. That's a look that I'm after. So as they trim off the bark, then they just keep rotating the log, and eventually they'll have the size that they want. It might be longer, like I need a 12-foot log, I'll need a 14-footer, a 16, and then a 20. To get a log 20-foot long, they have to start with a pretty big diameter, because just imagine the base could be 30 inches in diameter, but as the tree gets taller, it gets smaller. So at the very highest point, 22 feet, I have to have at least a 12-inch diameter up there. It's going to be bigger than that because they have to trim off all the bark and find that net size of 12-inch diameter. So I thought this was fascinating. Hope you like it. What do you think that log weighs?
Oh, this log? Buddy, what would you think, buddy? Probably about a lot, yeah.
500 pounds or more?
Oh, no, way more. I would say probably 50.
Oh,
They
what?
get a bunch of logs that have mud and stuff on them. This will run
This
ahead.
right here, this is
Yep.
a debarker?
This thing will come along as a router head and it will dig a gouge a hole in it so this blade has a fresh wood will hit so it doesn't
it
go in
leads
that
it,
mud.
it leads
Yeah,
it,
so it
it
leads
leads
it every. The only time you really use that is you get the logs in your butt.
Oh, okay. As you can see, there is a huge supply of logs in here, and there's a wide variety. A lot of it's all hardwoods that he has. There's anything from hackberry trees, there's even, well, there's cedar, there's a lot of oak and walnut, even cherry that I found interesting because typically cherry trees are not very big, but he has found a supplier, typically I think it's down in Arkansas, where he's getting a lot of these huge timbers shipped up here. And what I did, I called him up and said, here's my design, what I need. And he made calls to his suppliers down in Arkansas, and they located these oak trees and had cut them down to size and then shipped them up here to Ron, where he then cuts them to size with his mill. And that's what I'm finding so fascinating, how they take these great big logs and cut them down to size. And what they're trying to do is maximize the length and the width with their saws so they can get the biggest piece of timber out of it. So when you see something that's 12-inch diameter or 14 log that's 20 foot plus long, just imagine how huge that tree had to be, because my 20-foot long beam that's a 12-inch diameter started with a 36 plus diameter base, just so that we could get it cut at 12 by 12, because as you go towards the base of the tree up, it gets smaller, and that tells you how large this oak tree had to be. I'm here with Ron with Knotheads, and so Ron's gonna explain to me on this header what we got across the top. It was a 20-foot beam, right?
Yeah, it was a 21-foot log that we cut to 20-foot 6 to get the beam, the 20 footer that you're looking for at the top, and the base of that log was about 36 inches across,
So
which would be about
pretty close to this.
Yeah.
So to get a 12 by 12, is that what that was?
That's correct.
You had to start with something this big around, 36 in diameter.
On the base, yep, because then the small end was, I think it was 20 inches on the small end, and then the curvature of the log not being completely straight, you got that waist to get you a 12 by 12. So that's how big you have to be on the bottom and how big you have to be on the top to get a 12 by 12.
That's amazing. You would never think that big. I guess, you know, you got a big base and then it narrows at the top.
Sure.
So you got to start the small end, but you start the big one to figure out, I don't know. So is this oak as well?
No, this here is a hackberry.
Oh, hackberry. You got all kinds.
Yeah, these are all hackberry logs here. Have some maple in here as well, ash, a lot of walnut. The oak that we get in, we bring that in specific for builders like yourself and or people that are doing that, or wood that is going to be used. Oak is a more specific wood because of the density of the wood.
So that's what we're putting oak on mine.
Yes.
And then you like, what would a hackberry? What would you use this for?
So it's all, dining room tables, countertops, bar tops, furniture. It's a hardwood. Sugar maple is considered hardwood as well. Walnut is, it really draws attention to people. People just love walnut, but its density is medium grade on like a Jenga scale, the hardness scale. It's not a very hard wood, but any of this wood is beautiful furniture wood. They all have their own color, their own look, their own character to them. Their bark release is different on each one of those species, so it really is relevant to what the homeowner or the builder wants the color without staining it.
What I find fascinating is that it looks, just a pile of logs,
Yeah.
and then this turns into get the right hands, right craftsman,
Yep.
something absolutely
wonderful.
So,
and
wow.
repurposed and put back into good use other than mulch.
Yeah, right, versus mulch, yeah. So, wow, this is impressive. So we'll get going showing these guys on what Ron does and how he's going to turn this log into my entry gates for my house. So,
It's gonna be awesome.
Now I got to figure out how to put it together, but he's making the material. Now I got to stand him up.
Yep.
All right.
You'll get her done.
All right, thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Apologize for the wind, but I wanted to show you guys what that 30-inch diameter log, what it turned into. All right, guys, so here is my header, a 20-foot long beam that started out as a huge, probably 36-inch diameter, and then they ripped it all the way down. I've got a lot of extra material. I love those little thin slices that they cut off. I got to find a way to put those to use. But this is going to be the header going across the top of my entrance gate, and I wanted you to see it. So there's more to come. This is the biggest piece, and then there's going to be, I think there's a couple of 16s, 12s, and maybe even a 10 in there. So it doesn't look like much. The hard part is figure out how to get this thing to stand up and look like an entrance gate. So that'll be another video. Okay, there's the reason why I have my fence. This is a fairly busy traveled road, and the road is higher. My house is way down below the hill, so I wanted to get the fence up as high as possible, which I've done, but now I can't continue my fence because I need to create the gated entrance. So we've stopped right here, and there's my house down at the bottom of the hill. So what we're doing now, this lumber has all been purchased, and I have another pile over here. I have all the steel for the fencing, but I can't put that up yet until I have to work it backwards, is what they're telling me. I have to build the gated entrance first. And you see the cones? So I've got those in place. Let me walk over here and show you. What's going to be nice is when people show up to my house, not only I'm hoping to pave this a little bit, make it for a nice approach. It's all gravel. There's a reason for it being gravel right now. One, it's more affordable. Two, I have a lot of heavy equipment that's going to be coming yet. I got to build a barn. I'm still working on my pond. All that heavy truck and equipment I want to keep off the concrete, which I'll probably have a concrete approach. There goes another car right there. Sometimes you'll see them slowing down, trying to peek through the fence to see what's on the other side. And so this is where all those wood beams that are being cut right now are going to be set up here in place. So that's going to be another challenge for me, getting a crane out here and finding guys to help me set these things in place, because then the opening has to be such that a gate works. So I'm on top of a hill, which is great as we're going downhill. So when the gates swing in, they're actually not swinging uphill, they're swinging downhill, so they won't be scraping. If they turned around and they swung up, they would hit the ground. So we're going to be going with the flow of gravity, going down the hill, and it'd be so beautiful when they open up. I'm excited for that to be unveiled, seeing that beautiful view as you approach and come down the driveway. That's the look that I'm after. So once these get built, then all the stuff over here in my son Nate's front yard, here's the remaining steel, all these pieces. That slid off the Bobcat. Didn't do a very good job today on that. But they're out here aging, which is nice. That gate will come down here and connect to the fence. See Patch down there? He's on the wrong side of the fence. He has found, no, it's not completed, but he's smart enough to know he can just come down and walk around it, but he gets a little lazy. He's able to squeeze. That great big dog can actually squeeze under a little part of the fence down there. So we don't mind. We love Patch on our property because this dog hangs around, keeps watch on our property at nighttime. But what he does do sometimes is comes and looks in our windows at 2:30 in the morning and gets all our dogs riled up. So he's a good dog. He hasn't stolen much off our front porch lately. We did get a basket full of towels. The neighbors thought were ours. They're not, so we're getting some free laundry out of the deal. That's where he lives. When I was visiting with the guys at Knotheads, you can see there's a number 12 on here because this is what they're saying is going to be a 12-inch diameter log. And this is the small end, but it's much longer than 12. But I brought this home because the guy was saying there's as we know, there's rings around a tree to tell ages, but this is dark in the middle. They call that the heart. You guys might know this, but I just learned it, so I thought I'd share it with you. And the outside ring is called the sap ring, is what the bark kind of protects and feeds off of. They said if you pour water on it, this will hardly absorb it, and it will absorb around here. So let's see what this looks like. Really? What's interesting, as hard as this middle is the heart, it kind of just bubbled up, but this sap ring soaked the water right up. So that tells you this is the living part that is helping the tree grow. Hope I'm saying it right. I just found it kind of fascinating. didn't expect that sap ring to be that big. Super tight rings, which means it's old and the wood is very hard. This is probably a 70, 80-year-old oak tree.